Hello and welcome back. This is another episode of What the Clams. I am Clams, and today I have a very special to me guest. So I really wanted to make sure that in my first 10 episodes that it was kind of like key guests. So with this being episode 10, I'm very pleased to say that I am joined today with my wife, Ashley.
Hello.
Wanted to just kind of start this off. I mean, I've done this with the last few guests too. Like with Hobo and them, thank them for their friendship throughout the years, but I want to say thank you, babe, because honestly, Ashley, if it wasn't for you and the support that you've given me through this phase of my life, I don't know if I would have been able to follow through with it. Not only have you been there, like to take care of the house and stuff while I was in the treatment center. I know that was a lot of weight to bear, but you also chose to kind of do the same thing. I am about like 2 weeks away from hitting 9 months, and I know that just the other day you had hit 8 months yourself. It's really inspiring to me to see that you've committed with that with me along this. And it's just I really appreciate everything you've done. One of the big things I want to talk about, I know we've talked about this for a while about doing this episode, but the biggest thing I want to talk about in this one is change. Change is like the biggest thing when it comes to recovery. And it's just been this year has been a massive change for both of us. Not only did I go into treatment and start that process, a month afterward, we got married. There was a huge, that was a massive thing. That was the first, kind of large get together type event that both of us went through without, drinking or using or anything. That's it's really I don't know. It's eye opening to me just to see how far we've been able to go through and do this together. So I really appreciate everything that we've accomplished so far.
It was very stressful, but at the same time, it was rewarding knowing that we got through that with no issues with family, friends, or anything with the
Yeah,
alcohol.
I mean to see other people supporting it too. I think that's one of the things too that like I was talking with my sponsor. So as we're recording this, it is December 31st. I plan on getting this stuff edited and up on New Year's Day, so kick off 2026. And a lot of people, when I was talking about my sponsor, they weren't aware, that you've been right along with me on this, and you've even kind of taken on an extra. You've been able to stop smoking cigarettes. I mean, I haven't really been smoking cigarettes. I still have the issue with, I use the vape here and there, but I've been weaning myself off the best I can. But no, I mean I think that's even harder than quitting the drugs and the alcohol is
Mm-hmm.
the cigarettes. It's crazy.
It's all about routine, though.
100%. That's when it comes to like the change in things though is like we've had to change quite a bit of things in our lives, and that's what I kind of wanted to see. I wanted to get your perspective of things because I've had 9 episodes of me telling my perspective of how things are, but I wanted to kind of get insight from you on how you see things because you see the other page of it, on a day-to-day thing. I try to work on things and try to be better myself, but you're really the one that sees anything, firsthand.
I think change is people expect that it's going to be easy, and I don't really know how to really explain it, I guess. You lose friendships, you lose family members, you start dealing and processing with trauma that you've went through instead of numbing it. And then you've got family members, that think that you're just avoiding them because you're better or look at it in a different way when really it's you're just trying to protect your peace and you're trying to find those healthier routines with stuff. No, it's hard. There's a lot of rewarding things that come with it, but I think it's more so hard when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I agree because it's like I don't know if a lot of people take it into consideration because I mean, I said this before, I don't believe necessarily in like good and bad. I mean, like I do obviously, but like the way I look at it is if there is a negative outcome, there is a positive within it, and like
Mm,
there's and back and forth, the yin and the yang of everything. And when it comes to change, like you're saying, you're gonna change things that are gonna better things, but usually you have to change things that are also gonna make things hard. And there's not a lot of I don't know. I don't feel like that's really talked about a lot. That's why I think that the treatment center that I went to, the last half of that was, I think, the most important. I mean, they're very educational at the beginning. They're very supportive, and then they start getting into like they kind of like start off with like, hey, they're kind of like direct with
mm,
you, like you have a problem. That's why you're here. We're here to help you. And then it turns more into like educational. They start teaching you like, hey, these are what caused it. This is what's happening. There could be many different factors. They teach you different ways of how to understand it, how to cope with it, and how to start looking at it in a different manner.
Mm.
The last part of it, I think, was the most important for me, and I think it's the most important period. And I really thank the counselor there, Danny. If it wasn't for the way that he went about it, I love Tasha. She was very like supportive, and she empowered you a lot to like better yourself. Danny was there to support you 100%. And some people didn't perceive it the same way that I did, but he pushed back. He wanted to make sure that when you got out here that you already had somebody push you, because if you break in there, he can help you. But if you break out here, you're on your own again. And he was very, the one thing he said, I mean, there's certain things that people say and you kind of get that stuck in your head.
Mm.
The way he said it, though, was no one's coming to save you. What are
Exactly.
you going to do about it? And he questioned me quite a few things. And that's where I asked him afterwards, too. I was like, is it, do you truly believe I'm going to fail? Because he told me to my face, your plan sucks. You're going to fail. He was
Mm.
just doing that for the presentation in the class, but he's like, no, I actually have a lot of faith in you, and the reason I kind of pick on you a lot is because I want you to realize that these are the things that are going to be thrown at you. I feel like he gave me a really good chance at this because he pushed me to think that to think outside the box, and I'm not just going to walk out here and everybody's going to view it the same way as they view it in there. That's a
Mm.
controlled situation.
Exactly.
And I had Baz on here the last time, and he's someone who just recently hit his 6 months, and doing that on his own. You did the same thing, and you've hit your 8 months, and it's to me, it's really inspiring because both of you saying that I helped kind of inspire you or drove you to want to kind of pull that trigger. I could not. I know, and that's the thing is I want people to understand. There is some people that can do that by just. Some people can do it on their own cold turkey. Some people can go into a 12-step program, and that can be enough for them. Some people like me need to go into treatment centers. There's some people that need to go into that treatment center, fail, and come back into that treatment center to be able to really grasp it. No matter where you are or what path it takes you, that is your own path to success,
Mm.
your own path to recovery, and you have to work that. As I'm working through a 12-step program and working with a sponsor, I thought that I understood a lot of things, and that's where I've really used the podcast as kind of like a it's like a bookmark along the way, it like goes
Mm.
back and you can see the different phases of my recovery. So I know I took kind of a little bit of a hiatus on this stuff because I wanted to slow down because I also knew that I don't want to overwhelm myself because when it comes to the holidays, that's like the fucking hardest thing, dude. So tonight going to a meeting where my sponsor is going to speak, bringing you and my daughter, it's having the support too from my kid's mother, like telling her, hey, I'm taking our daughter and Ashley. We're going to the meeting. We're going to take a minute so we can do a call so we can all be on the call together to usher in a new year and show that we're all united on starting a new year, a new slate, and trying to make things better for everybody. I said this on a post recently. If you follow like my Facebook page, where I was saying that 2025 was where it started and 2026 is where I want to really like take off, and that's what I plan to do. I actually have a few people that I've kind of lined up. I have a few guests that are going to return. I have a few guests that are going to be brand new that I really think that with their story, they can help paint a picture because there are some people that have come on here like Leanne, who
Mm.
is very close to you. That was one of your, I met Leanne because of you. I didn't realize that you share that much. And that just goes to show you never know what somebody else has gone through. And
Exactly.
that's why I wanted to do an episode with you because as much as you are kind of nervous about doing it, you have a very good insight on this stuff. And you've been very productive on your recovery, not just with drinking and stuff like that, but with working on mental health and stuff like that. Because
Mm.
that's what it all comes down to, is what it
Well,
boils to.
that's too with change though too, is you learn ways to try and open up yourself and put yourself first, not always putting other people and their feelings first as well. And that can be a hard step
Yeah.
to learn.
Well,
You're
it's, I mean,
carrying other people's weight and secrets and chaos.
because that's the thing a lot of people see is like addicts that you're being selfish, but there's a lot of times too that it's like the opposite where you're using that to cover because a lot of times it's covering the emotion. A lot of
Mm.
time you're burying your own fears and stuff, but sometimes those fears root from other people's shit that you're trying to just
Hmm.
deal with because you have it in your head. And it for me, I've realized now that just because somebody seems like they're, like Robin Williams, that's like one of the ones that always got me. Like, huge smile all the time, commit suicide. That's what depression looks like.
Mm.
Happy, fucking, because they're trying to promote that. They're trying to project that outward. Hey, I'm happy, everything's fine, and they're not. So that's where I think it's very important to slow down a little bit and realize that not everybody, like nobody has it all the way together. We're all going through something, and also
Mm-hmm.
it gets bad like you start comparing yourself to other people. Like, I wish I had this, I wish I had that. They're doing the same thing. I think for me the biggest thing too, like I don't know if this is how you felt, but it was always like the I'm not good enough. I can't, I don't believe in myself. I'm not going to succeed at this. I'm not going to be able to, I can't stop doing this because I'm not strong enough to do it without it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not strong enough to go through this loss without using. I'm not strong enough to deal with this breakup without using, like all these things. But then now being in recovery, going through losing of somebody very, very close to me, even while I was still in the treatment center, realizing like I can, and like this is gonna sound very odd. I spoke with Hobo about this as his great grandmother, but it's like it's almost like at that time too of her passing, it was almost kind of like that. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like her passing was almost like, see, you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
It was like her even from the other side being able to still help me. And it's I don't know, it's been very different for me to live life this way. And I always worry too because the more I learn more about this, the more I realize like the character defects, the behaviors,
Mm-hmm.
and I see them now. And fuck, man, it's like it's hard because then like you try to change something and then you still do that behavior because you didn't just learn it in one day, so you're not gonna fix it in one
Mm-hmm.
day. And you do that fucking thing and then you notice it, but then you're like, God damn it, I did it again. And that's where like a lot of my stuff would happen before too, is I'd start beating myself up, and now I'm using coping skills and stuff to not
Yeah.
do that. And I just kind of want to get inside. I mean, I don't know how it's been for you. We haven't really sat down and talked about in detail about like what's going on with you for it.
I don't really know how to explain when it comes to certain feelings because I just ignored so much all the time. People's remarks, rumors, whether they're true or not, it just always was drilled in my head. So that's the voice that would constantly be bothering me the most. But other than that, I just always try to keep busy with work and just push myself to limits I probably shouldn't have and just ignored everything.
I did the same thing. I would bury myself in the work and then I would burn myself out. And I bounced from job to job because it wasn't that I was not good at it. It's that it would become too calm and I was using it for chaos. So I would find a new thing.
That's where I realized, like with cooking and everything, I think that's why I enjoyed it so much, is because it was so chaotic and I can get my aggression and anger out in a really bad way, I guess. But when I'm constantly having to yell at people, I mean, it's a release. But now I'm like, I can't do it. It's
Yeah.
too much. But then it also brings you back to that because, I drink all the time, go to the lake, do this, be hungover as hell, go to work, do it again, and just it's a vicious cycle. And then trying to have that support, to change things. Like I knew I could do it. That's more like right now too, like why I don't want to celebrate every month or announce it so much. Obviously with you I do, but because I've done it before and just went back to the same ways. But at the same time, I never really had that support. I
Mhm.
have parents that are addicts. Everybody I was around was pretty much addicts, and I can't, I'd have to completely isolate myself. And then I wouldn't have a support system. I got my grandma and certain people, but it's still hard.
Yeah, it's not the same, and that's the thing too. Is like, so I'm gonna say this. I was talking about this with my sponsor the other day when we were going over my first step, and he made a good point, and that's why I kind of
Mm,
brought up to you about having you guys go with me to meetings and stuff. He's like, at some point, you got to remember that they shouldn't be there at every single one. He's like, I'm not saying that I don't want to see your family there. That's not what it is. He's like, I want you to
mm,
understand what I'm saying is this is your recovery, and you need to
yeah.
work it. You need to make sure that there is that space for you because there is going to be times that you are going to potentially not open up the same way because they're there.
Well, that's why I try to stay back too, every now and then. And I even explained, to Noel and stuff is, like your dad, that's your dad's space. He needs to be able to express himself. And, there may be something said that may worry him, that we might take offense to it or take it a completely different way. And that shouldn't be the case. You should be able to open up about anything and everything that you possibly want while you're there.
And part of it, I need to just be transparent with this because he even told me like you should be clear about that because part of it too was I guess in hopes for me was like that you would, because I do think that there's parts of it that would help you too. And I think maybe that it was like me trying to, like show you like, hey, this could be another outlet. But then realizing too is that you have to do that on your own. I was talking with my counselor about it and talking about how there was, that we were pretty much going to be assigned the same therapist, but there was a conflict of interest, obviously. And she asked me how I was going to deal with that, and I told her that I had pretty much accepted because I haven't really been going to her because there was a a scheduling issue, and then I kind of missed one because of work, and then there was just a few things that caught up in the way. And I kind of just put it on the back burner. And she asked, like, so that's kind of like procrastination, is how they're not being proactive about that. And I was like, well, yes, in a way it is, but I guess I should like explain my thinking with it because I have a lot of outlets where I have my counselor, I have my sponsor, I have the 12 step, the program that I'm in. And you don't necessarily really know, even though you're going to the meetings with me and stuff, but it's a different meeting. You're not going there and opening up. You're not doing it for you. You're going to attend with me.
Right.
So I felt like it was more beneficial for me to kind of step back so that you could have a therapist and, that way I wasn't kind of in the way because if it came up and I needed it, then I had other support systems and I could get booked with another one. I did just get a call last week where on the 15th I'll be going in to see a new therapist, which I know I still need. It's not like something I'm going to put off and act like I don't need it because I have these other things. But it is something that, I know that even dealing with me, that's something that I've realized being in those rooms. You're going through this too. And then dealing with me going through it, like it's going to bring up different things for me. And I'm going to, I'm trying to work on certain things. And I know it's got to be kind of annoying, especially like, especially when I get like short, it's because I get overwhelmed, I get nervous, I get scared. And I start like getting louder, my tone changes, I get snippy, and then I realize right afterward, I'm like, fuck, I'm trying to not do that. And it's gets to the point too where like I told you before, I feel bad because you can only say I'm sorry so many times before it just loses its value. And I just hope that like, I just feel like we have to open up to each other and use that communication to be able to allow each other to grow and stuff. Because I mean, like I said, the change. That's also what I wanted to ask you too. Is just like what are some of the things that you've seen has changed this last year? I mean, it's not just necessarily with recovery, but just period.
Relationships with the kids. I mean, it's been kind of up and down quite a bit, but we're all together a lot more than we were before.
Yeah.
We were at different people's houses and this and that, and everybody kind of separates, and time was going by far too fast. Trying to find work that makes you happy, not putting up with the same stuff you always were.
Yeah, because I mean that's also like the thing too is like so the job that I'm working now because I've talked about this before that I because of speaking with certain counselors and other support I did make the decision like I'm only going to go back into part time for now until I can figure out the school thing. And then it got to a point with getting my financial aid and stuff that I was starting to think that I wasn't going to be able to start until spring and miss the winter quarter. But it turns out after calling and speaking with them, because the financial aid is already turned in, but they still have to go through the review. They put the hold on my classes. I don't know if that's the right term. It's hold, but essentially, they held my classes for me, so I'm not being kicked out of the classes. I'm still able to attend. So I start next week in my classes, and then there was kind of a rough issue at work where I was pulled in, and I know that sometimes my mouth, I know I curse quite a bit. I know I do. And then I also got to remember that some people don't take my jokes, my sarcasm the same way. I guess I got a little bit too free. I had 6 months off of work before really getting back into work, and I, I guess I kind of got a little bit too loose. And I also know a lot of people that work there, from past jobs or just friendships and stuff like that. So making stupid jokes. I mean, it's the Christmas time of the year in retail. We all know if you've worked retail, it is the hot time of the year. It is fucking busy, and I would be making jokes like there's way too much stuff. Like, this is too much toys. Like, joking. Obviously, it's sarcasm. We need these things it's supply and demand. It's a joke. It's just, I don't know. That's how I kind of cope with like shitty situations and I crack jokes about stuff or like the sarcasm of things. Like, obviously, it's too much stuff. It's this time of the year. Like, no shit. It's a joke. But I was told, like, I got pulled in the office and pretty much told, like, hey, you curse too much. You're bitching about product. And then they tried to say I was throwing stuff. And I was like, show me the fucking camera, show me the video.
Which they didn't.
Yeah, which they couldn't. Then she made a deal too. And I think that's what pissed me off is it was the day after we found out from the doctor that, without going into like more in-depth ways of trying to get pregnant that you wouldn't be able to. So it was heavy on my mind and I had called out that day because originally I wasn't going to go with you.
Mm.
And then we both decided, like, hey, I should be there. And when I got pulled into the office, that's how she started it, was because you called out, you didn't call out with like 2 weeks advance,
So can't really do that.
like whatever, that's, I was like, yeah, I know I'm going to get an occurrence. Like, no shit.
That's the
I'm fucking
thing.
32 years old.
Yeah.
Like, bitch, you think I don't know
And
that how work works?
yeah.
Like, yeah, I know I'm going to get an occurrence. And I was like, it was something more important.
Well, and
I will take the
that
occurrence.
procedure alone is you don't know until that week because it's based on your cycle.
Yeah.
And
And
so
so
hey, you're
I think
having a
that's,
procedure done.
yeah. And I think that's kind of how it, I think that's why I got pretty snippy. And I think that's where it started though, is because that kind of put me off. It was like, fuck you.
Mm.
Like you're gonna bring that up, and like I was still dealing with that. It was the day after.
Mm.
It's still, like fuck, this sucks. And then the way that she opened it up with that, and the whole thing too goes back to her fucking. Another associate found a fucking like a coffee cup. It was like a fucking, you could tell like a blended like not a coffee, but like a blended like energy drink somebody had got somewhere,
Mm.
left it on the floor, probably a customer, got all nasty. While he was doing his like set on the floor, he picked it up, brought it to the back room. Well, we were out of garbage bags, so he didn't want to throw it in the garbage because it would just make a mess. So he set it on the counter. And then she was like, who left this here? And then she told our other supervisor in the back, like, hey, can you throw this away? But no, she didn't say, can you throw this away? She said, hey, throw this away. And I could just see that it pissed her off. So I asked, like, what the fuck was that? And like, she can do the same thing. Well,
Mm.
I know that pissed her off because she made a comment. Excuse me, what was that? And she never said anything to me. She pulled in my supervisor though, and like pretty much, drilled her about it. And then when she brought me in there, she brought that up. And I was like, I honestly think that this whole thing that you're bringing me in here, you're building a case against me because you're butthurt about that cup situation.
Mm.
Why didn't you just say something to me right then? Well, I'm saying something to you now. And I pretty much got, short and was like, well, I don't know, I'm temporary. So
Yeah.
if you're going to fucking fire me, if it's that big of a deal, do it.
Well, then it's hard too because, same thing for me, the job I had prior, and how things ended with that and how people were. And same thing with your job and that. So, like, now going into different work and then going through all of the changes, it's just,
I know what I will.
it's hard to find your place, but then at the same time, you're not going to want to put up with all that
Yeah.
shit that you were
I'm
putting
not
up
going to
with
fucking take that
before.
shit.
Exactly.
And I think that's
It's
also
hard.
too, like we were talking about when I just found out, and I just found out like last week, like the end of the week, that, no, it was the beginning of this week, excuse me,
Mm.
that I am still able to go to those classes. Because I got an email saying like, hey, we're ready for you. And I'm thinking, oh, it's just because my name's on the class, probably not gonna be able to go. And I was like, well, how am I gonna know unless I call and
Mm.
talk to them? So I call admissions and they're like, oh yeah, no, you can go to your classes
Yeah.
still. And of course, the day that I start on the 5th, I only get scheduled one day next week, and it's the 5th.
Mm.
So I'm gonna have to tell them like, hey, I can't come in until at least like 1:30 that day, and I'm pretty sure, like you said, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure that's gonna be their leading thing to
Mm.
pull me in and be like, you're fired, because and it's, this will be the second time you've missed a shift. You're temporary, so
Mm-hmm.
we're not gonna need you now. And before, I'm not gonna lie, that would stress me out to no end. And that's where I know that I am making. They say in a lot of the 12 steps, it's progress, not perfection. And that's where I can see some progress, because instead of being pissed off, instead of being like fucking freaking out like I always do, I'll be able to be like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Instead of freaking out and like determining in my head what is going to
Mm.
happen, I'm going to let it play out. It might just be that they go, okay, in the future, can you please try to be more,
Mm.
because she didn't even give me a occurrence for that last week, that one time it happened. She made this whole big deal and then was like, but I'm not going to do all this stuff. I'm like, so then why are you threatening me? When she's like, well, because I'm just giving you a warning. And I'm like, okay, like, you could go about it different. The way it feels like you're coming at me is retaliation.
Exactly.
So I think that that's another big thing too for me, is like, also I've been, trying to tell you, like, don't take these jobs where you're putting yourself into the same cycle. Like, I'm trying to break cycles on myself, because my counselor even questioned me on this. Like, we kind of talked about this, and she's like, well, didn't you kind of do the same thing by going back into retail? And I was like, yeah, but the biggest problem wasn't the retail, it was being in management. So I refused to go up anymore,
Mm.
and
I
I'm chasing a
agree.
different, I'm chasing a different path. And she's like, well, what's going to happen if you get this job that you're pursuing? You go
Mm.
to school, you become a drug addiction counselor, and you have a boss that's like that. To me, I've actually thought about this a lot. I know it will be different because I care about what I'm doing.
Exactly.
It's not about the pay,
Mm.
because I don't even know what a fucking addiction counselor makes. I don't care. I know I
Mm.
can make a living off of it,
Yeah,
but it's about what I'm doing. I have a purpose.
exactly.
And that's where,
And that's why I like caregiving so much, but this area is just terrible.
yeah,
It actually makes me sick.
that's also been something that's been brought up a lot too, is like, we've kind of questioned about if we should to move and stuff, but it's just so hard. Like everything is, I also think that's another thing too, is like change is kind of weird because we've changed so much. It's almost like you want to keep some little bit of normal,
Hmm.
normalcy. I don't know if I'm even saying that word right. You want to keep some shit normal you're somewhat used to. And it's hard. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And that's why I love these 12-step programs because I'm not worried about tomorrow. I mean, obviously, you have to be prepared,
Yeah.
but I'm only worrying about what I can do today. And I feel the benefit of like realizing that there is powers greater than me and that I don't control all these other things I would carry this weight around on me
Hmm.
with. Same thing with like that work thing. If that's what
Hmm.
they're going to make the choice to do, then that's what they're going to do. And I have no power over it. So why dread it? Is it going to be something I have to deal with? Yes. But how hard is it going to be for me to apply somewhere else and pick up another job? It's not like I can't do it. So like I said, this is episode 10 of the beginning of this. And I wanted to do episode 7 with you, but I think the episode 7 played out well with getting the back to back with the brothers.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that it's a great way to start out this year
Mm.
because, like I said, I swore up and down I would never get married. I told you too. I had made a pact with another friend right before we actually, because we've known each other for a long time. I've known you since I was a little kid. Had a big old crush on you, but like, you didn't know who the fuck I was. Some kid on the bus.
Mm.
But I made that pact with that friend that I will not name. We're just gonna be man whores, and then met you, and I'm like, I want to see where this goes. And like, well, that was fucking fast. Like, you're on like a one date, and that's pretty much it. Like, yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Just a lot of things. You never know what's going to come your way, and trying to make
Exactly.
these ultimate decisions you can't really do because life's going to kick you in the teeth right after you do that, or it's going to throw a curveball at you that you don't expect to come.
Yep.
One of the other things I want to ask too is I wanted your input on like what with it being at the beginning of the year, like what changes that you want to start pushing towards, what changes that we want.
I don't really know. I haven't really thought about that. Just too focused on routines and stuff with the kids, making those changes, goals. Obviously finding a good job, working through more of my mental health. That's
Yeah,
my biggest thing is I just really wanted to get through a lot of that first before I start making those bigger, I guess, commitments, especially with your meetings and stuff, 'cause I enjoy going to them. It's nice hearing everybody there. Hear a lot of things that, I don't know, it's just comfortable.
yeah, that's something that
Different. But then it's also like for me, it's upsetting at the same time too, because then I'm seeing all these people and all you hear is that, they fought for their kids, they're doing this for this person. Then I think back for myself when it comes to, like my parents. It's like going through these steps, like I said, it's not easy, but at the same time, it's also not hard.
yeah,
So it's like see all these people that who knows, maybe they had it harder than my parents, but still they're making that effort.
yeah, and that's because I mean honestly, that's a good point. You bring up a good topic with that because when I hear people saying that stuff too, at the time when the kid's mom would bring up to me like like why didn't you didn't try, and that's not true. It's also circumstantial. Because
Hmm.
you got to remember too. Sometimes people are saying things in those rooms,
Yeah.
saying that they're doing these things, but they're doing the bare minimum.
Right.
And just because they're thinking about it doesn't mean they're actually
Hmm.
doing it. That's kind of one of and I'm not, that's the thing. I'm not discrediting anyone, but I'm also not going to fucking give credit where I don't know facts. But no, I get that because I'm one of the same thing as like with my dad. He never tried to step up and be there. He had all the options to do it. I gave him the option to do it, and then he fucking abandoned me for 3 days after taking my fucking forerunner I inherited from my mom.
Hmm.
I don't think that everybody is cut out to be a parent, or I don't think
Hmm.
that not everybody is willing to change their issues to better someone else. Like that's, and I could be somewhat of a hypocrite in saying, like yeah, I've had the use and stuff like that, but I always was trying to do the right thing to take care of my family. It was
Hmm.
just something I was dealing with. I had my own demons, but I never tried to just not be there. That was never the case. And
Yeah,
that's,
so,
sorry, go ahead.
but yeah, working through that stuff, I think, would help being able to actually open up. Because, it's hard for me to open up to people because I don't feel like they fully understand, or I'm just so used to it my whole life, always being the one to give other people advice, and not a single person would ask, questions on my past or this or that, or there was one time was sitting there in the living room and everybody was talking, and I started explaining something that happened to me when I was a kid, and then that person sat there and was like, as long as I've known you, it just dawned on me that I've never once even considered what you've went through. And it's like, what kind of friendship is
Uh,
that? And so I don't know. I always feel like I'm going to be judged. So it's finally working through that stuff. I feel like meetings would be helpful.
yeah, because I
So,
mean, that's one of the things I've learned though is the vulnerability and the humility of things is like so empowering because I like you're saying, do not want to be judged or like shown as
mm,
weakness and stuff because as a dude, that's how you're raised. It's like don't be a fucking pussy. You can't fucking show weakness. You can't show that you're scared. You
mm,
can't show that you're fucking afraid or sad or anything. And being able to go into those rooms and you got full grown other men that are sitting there saying like I'm fucking scared to death of this.
right.
It I don't know, it makes you
Being
feel
able
more
to
human.
admit that,
Yeah.
is a huge step. Like growing up for me, like my dad, like he went through a lot. It's like I know both my parents went through a lot. It's just the traits and things that they taught. I know it wasn't on purpose, but it's like my dad with his emotions, he don't want to talk about anything. Like there's nothing there. Learning to hold everything in, and then also not being in safe environments with my mom when I was younger. It's having to hold all that stuff in and now trying to release all of it,
Yeah.
and I've also had things used against me. Like I'll share and then it's just
Yeah. Weaponized.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had
Which,
the
and I know
same.
in those rooms it wouldn't be that way. Just
It's
trying to
still
get used to that.
Yeah, it's still trying to open up and
Yeah.
fucking say it. It's kind of like when I do these episodes. It's the same way as when I go into those rooms. Right before I share, I get like this like
Mm.
overwhelming like fucking like almost like I'm vibrating. The anxiety of it. And then as soon as I do it, it's like this dopamine rush. And I get like this dump of adrenaline where I just like I feel good.
Mm.
I do the same thing right before these episodes. I'm like, fuck, what am I gonna say? Like I start overthinking
That's
it,
where
and
I was.
that's it's a part of my fucking. It's a part
Mm.
of the behaviors. It's a part
Mm.
of those fucking traits that we're trying to work through. And I think that that's why I've said it a million times on this podcast. This is why I do this, is because it's not just there is a self-centered aspect to it. It's
Mm.
not just because I mean, yeah, I want to, if I can help somebody with this, it's worth it. But it helps me in my recovery. I'm really excited. In the next few episodes, I'm gonna have my sponsor come on, and I
That'd
think
be
that that's
good.
gonna be a really good one because
Mm.
not only that is I have a plan to speak to his sponsor and bring him on. And I have a few other people that are in the group that I want to talk to because they have stories that are worth telling. And I think I've kind of found like that's my whole thing is just being able to talk with somebody.
Mm.
This is what I've been told this my whole life that I have this gift of gab and like that the power that I have. I don't know if this lady was telling the truth or not. It wasn't a bar, but everybody was like, "Oh, she's gonna do a reading." And I'm like, "What? Little ass like." She's part Mexican, part Native American. I can't remember her name, but she's a little lady. And she's like, yeah, I do readings. I'm like, okay. She's like, your friends want me to do a reading for you. I'm like, sure. I'm skeptical. And she like takes my palm. She's like, let me see your palm. She like puts her thumbs in my palm. She's holding my hand. She starts asking me questions and I'm answering her. And I was like, what the fuck? And she's like, do you feel the heat? And like my hand got like hot.
Your hands are always cold.
Exactly. And like I'm like, what the fuck? She's like, that's the energy. It's the part of the reading. It means it's working. And I'm like, it's like I said, I was super skeptical at first, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And she's asking me questions, and I'm answering them, and then and they're very vague questions, like yes and no's to most things. And then she starts saying things that there's no way she can know that. Like you lost your mom young. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know this lady. She doesn't know me. And she's, you lost your mom young. And she just starts like you lost your kids, and like she just starts naming things, and I'm like, what the fuck? And it was really, I don't know how, it was surreal.
Mm.
And at the end of it, she hits me with the whole, she goes through this whole thing, and to the point where I'm like, there's no way, what the fuck, like
Mm.
you're a fucking witch. But she's like, do you know what your gift is? And I'm like, tell me, because I know it what. And she's like, it's your voice. And she's like,
Mm.
it's not necessarily just like your voice. You have a very, she's like,
It's your words.
she goes, you have a good voice. She goes, you have a unique voice,
Mm.
which it made me feel good because that's how my mom's voice was. She had this just certain frogginess. I don't know how to describe it. She had this laugh that like it's I still hear it. But she was like, it's what you can do with your words. And she's like, that is what you're destined to do. And it was all these things. I've had a lot of people telling me like you have a voice for radio and just all these different times of my life at random times, people that don't know each other tell me the
Mm,
exact same thing to where it finally all accumulated to like this is what I need to be doing. Whether it be the career of being an addiction counselor, helping people, doing this podcast and stuff like that, I'm going to use my story to benefit. And that's what I also have tried to explain. I think I've finally figured out the best way to explain it. The way that I am able to help the most is by using other people's stories and letting them tell their story to be the narrator in a sense for other people
mm,
to allow them their own place and create a platform for them to tell their story because we're all connected and we are getting so isolated and separated from each other, especially with this age of technology, to where we're not personable anymore. And it's so easy to just become like distant
mm,
with people that you're in the same room with or not able to look to your person to next to you and be able to communicate what you actually are feeling. That's something I think that I want to combat. And that's
mm.
something that I'm very fortunate to say that you and I have a really good relationship of at least, like I feel like there's a lot of things that kind of go unspoken sometimes, but when it gets down to it, we're able to talk about anything, and that's where I also wanted to call myself out were the things where, I try to work on those issues that I know I still have. I'm not always the easiest to deal with. And I want you to know that I do appreciate you to be there and to support me. Was there anything that you wanted to, any topics that you had on your mind that you wanted to bring up?
You know, the
One of the
top of my
things,
head.
one of the things that I do want to say now that I think about it is it's really cool to me to see the connection that you made with the kids. Because for me growing up having one parent, and I'm just so thankful for my kids to have four parents
Mm,
that actually are there, that actually care, and that we're all on the same page. Don't get me wrong, there were some rocky spots, but that we're
mm,
all on the same page and that we're all on the same goal. It's very humbling and very fulfilling that we've been able to work through the things we need to work through, that we're able to communicate, that we're able to be there for the ultimate goal of being there for the kids.
mm. Well, that's
Seeing,
the same thing too. It's like trying to break those cycles that we didn't even create, that we were taught,
yeah,
so we don't pass it forward, and so they don't have to feel the same wounds that we carry.
that's a good point. That's change. Bringing up it's being able to be the ones to step up and face something that's not even, how the fuck is this put? I'm going to go brain dead on this. Your addiction is not your fault, but your recovery is your responsibility.
Mm,
And that's the truth. Is it my fault that my parents were addicts? Is it their fault that they were addicts? I don't think so. I mean, you got to remember, like, my family were fucking moonshiners, dude. Like, they had cherry orchards and they be making fucking moonshine out of it. This is in the blood. But I don't think that I'm able to, like, I think that I have some family members that are able to use and stop. I can't,
mm.
you know? So that's where it's like you said earlier, people thinking that you're judging them by not being around and stuff. I'm doing this for myself, and I will be selfish in my recovery to make sure that I can
Well,
get myself to
exactly.
a safe spot.
Well, and that's the thing too, it's hard because especially in the very beginning and like the way I guess I am going to be an asshole about it in ways because the way I look at it is you were gone, you were going through a lot, you were doing what was best, and it just got quiet.
Yeah.
Everybody just disappeared, and expect you to just automatically be okay to go to events where there's alcohol everywhere, or and it's not their fault, they shouldn't have to change, but it's also that respect, you know showing that they're proud of you enough to respect those things. And like, it's just, I don't know, that kind of stuff's hard for me.
Yeah, and that's
And I don't try to be an asshole about it, but
that's I mean I'm gonna call it straight like how it is, and I know that some of my family are gonna listen to this and stuff, but it's the truth, and they know this, and they
mm,
can vouch for it too. There's a time when I was shortly after my mom passed away, I didn't go to family functions for 3, almost 4 years. It was for my own sanity
mm,
because there was things behind the scenes that people didn't know about that were being said, and that's the part where it's like it hurts because nobody wanted to take accountability. Now don't
mm,
get me wrong, there was things that I wasn't taking accountability for either
yeah,
because I was pointing the
exactly.
finger just the same, but I was also fucking 14,
Mm,
and it's like breaking the cycle,
yeah.
because the one person I could say too was fucking Eric was the one that was like, fuck you guys. Do you not see he's going through that? That's part of the reason why, even though there's some things that are fucking hard, no matter what, he was the one that was there for
Right.
me in some of the most crucial parts
Well,
of my
and
life.
it's like too, that distance, it's not that you hate them. It's not that it's anything against anybody. It's
It's almost that it's because I love you so much that I need to be
exactly.
away because I don't want to fucking make this progression and then
Mm,
lose it all by getting overwhelmed because I get overwhelmed easily. But the thing is I think that what I've been able to do
mm,
is I'm working towards, and I'm kind of starting to fine tune it, of being able to use when I'm overwhelmed in a positive way instead
right.
of melting down.
Mm.
Like using it as a fuel to drive me instead of destroy me.
Well, it's like it's hard too because then there's the kids, and they're losing out on those relationships and those memories and times. But like I don't know, it's just hard.
Yeah.
And it's hard to explain it enough to where they'll understand it at their age. But at the same time, it's like we got to try and come up with our own traditions and it's also realizing and finding those friendships that they do support you. It's like when we did the Friendsgiving and we did the get-togethers here at the house. It's having all the people there and it still being
Yeah.
fun.
I mean,
And
I've really come to terms too with that we have. I'm so thankful that I have some of the friends I have. I'm very fortunate that, especially hearing some of those meetings, like people losing everybody. I've got friends that literally were like sick of my shit, but still love me enough to be at a distance
exactly.
to where the relationship didn't get ruined. It wasn't
Hmm.
the best.
Yeah.
But now that I've kind of opened my eyes and tried to make changes, that they're back and like, like just it's like Lane, it's like fucking Calvin. Like those guys have been there my whole life pretty much. Calvin half my life, Hobo since I was fucking in third grade. And to still be there and to understand and to see the ups and downs. And like it's crazy to think that like Walmart and Hobo are the only real two friends that I talk to consistently still that knew my mom. Besides family, those two are the only ones that met my mom.
All right.
Um, that's not true, Tanner, but like that would
Like
come over to my
actually knew.
house.
Yeah.
Like he met my mom, he knew my mom because we played sports together and stuff.
I feel like Tanner knows everybody.
Tanner, that's why I love Tanner, and he's somebody I cannot wait to bring back on too. I
Yeah.
almost think about bringing him back on for the next one just because
Mm,
hey, we're running it back.
yeah.
Episode 1,
Yeah.
episode 11. Um, and just the same thing too is he's trying to do some things, and I'd love to bring him on and talk about what he's trying to accomplish, and because everybody's got a different life, dude, and that's where I also
Mm,
appreciate people like that. You're supposed to have distance in between each other because then when you
mm,
come together, you actually have something to talk about.
exactly.
Because if you're together all the time, you end up fucking creating resentment. I don't want that anymore, man. Like I lived out of spite for too long.
Well, it's like roommates. You have
Yeah,
roommates.
I got a friend
Yeah.
too that after that,
Don't ever have roommate friends.
yeah,
Like it'll never end.
got a
Good.
very close friend
Hmm.
that now
Yeah.
I have not talked to
Mm.
since I went to treatment.
It's like I can't do roommates. And then when we tried it, like even that last time to help one person out and how it turned out, it's like this is exactly why I do not
Yeah,
do it. Even to help people anymore, it's like it's not worth it.
I
People
know,
take advantage or
and that's what's shitty because that's the same thing like with my family. They fucking help me, and that's what they help me, and that's why I'm trying to make sure that I want them to understand that the reason I'm doing what I'm doing is so that way that I can actually repay them. Like
hmm.
there's debt owed. There's just time too, like I've explained, that I want them to be able to have their own family time.
Well, yeah,
They put up
exactly.
with so much. I don't know how to really put it. It's because I care that I need to step away and I need to fucking deal with my own shit on my
Hmm.
own terms. I can't just expect a buyout, an
Hmm.
easy out on everything. And that's kind of how it's been. But I mean, there's things that I'm able to come to terms with, but I'm just thankful that
Hmm.
where I am, the fact that I'm able to speak about these subjects, I'm able to comprehend the fact that yeah, some things aren't perfect, but we're working. You have to pick your lesser evils, and you have to
Hmm.
pick your battles. And I think that I think that I'm a part of something bigger. I think that we're working towards something that's for us, and
Hmm.
that's something that I never had a relationship to where like with a partner that I've been able to actually work towards things and not be afraid of it being weaponized against me
Right. Same
or
thing.
yeah. it's scary when you can't
Mm-hmm.
trust the one person that's supposed to be on your side and then they fucking
Mm-hmm.
weaponize it. That shit hurts.
Does makes trusting very hard.
That's another big thing too is the trust. And that's a change right there. Having to tell you the day that I did the fucking evaluation that I failed it because I had used again, and I honestly thought at that moment too, I thought it was gonna be it.
Mm.
I in my head I was still doing the catastrophizing, still in active use. I was like, this is gonna be it. This is where she's gonna be like, I'm fucking, I can't do this. I'm done with your shit. And you had every right to if you did, but it wasn't me trying to lie to you. It was me trying to lie to myself to create this false reality I wanted to live in.
Right.
And I'm just thankful that we made it through that point and that we're here being able to do this right now and be able to talk about it because that's not been the case most of my life.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like having a relationship to where you can be open and honest about everything, which, that's one thing I'm not used to. Like I've been able to be open and honest for my own stuff, but like I said, things were used against me. But with you, it's completely different. And the fact that going through all that even prior, and having that comfortability when all that happened, it's, people make mistakes. It's not something to just give up all of a sudden. You also need the support. And who would I be if I were to walk away from that? What we had already been building.
It's just, that's no one fucking hurts me more than me. And I was so good at self sabotaging, knowing like, hey, this is the one thing that they asked me not to do and then doing it.
Mm.
So that's why I had to accept it. And that was when I think I was finally able to start doing the surrendering, and actually start accepting the fact that I have an issue and I need help because like, and when you have, so why would you do that? And I'm talking to the dude doing the evaluation the whole time, and I'm like, I don't tell her the fucking truth.
Mm.
You have an addiction issue.
Right.
You have a disorder. And at that time, dude, I still couldn't wrap my head around like it's a disease. It is a mental disease
Mm-hmm.
because it's not. And I see it in so many people that aren't using the addiction, the obsessive compulsive.
Mm-hmm.
That shit is what it's based on.
Mm-hmm.
We just use the substance to mask it. Other people use fucking sex. Other people use eating. Other people
Mm-hmm.
use fucking gambling. It does not matter.
Anything,
It can be
honestly.
literally fucking anything. And it's the obsession. I mean, buying things,
Mm.
impulse buying, online shopping, all those things. One of the things going through my steps and like talking about was what was one of your most recent times you could bring up, and the one I could bring up was right before when we were trying to get the financial aid to get the laptop, and it was in the waiting period, and we were at fucking the store, and I was like, I could buy that right now, but why? Just wait. It's not like if I don't buy this laptop right now, there's no more laptops in the world, and I'll never be able to get one.
Mm.
Just fucking wait. Do I need it right now? No.
But
Do I
then the
need it?
laptop went tits up.
Well, no. I mean, it wasn't just that. It was just for the school thing.
Yeah.
Finding out, okay, they can't really help with that. Okay, and it played out better. Trusting in a higher power, like trusting and letting go of
Yeah.
like this isn't what I need right now. Take care of myself. Take care of what I need to, and it will come along. And then when it became apparent, I'm not going to be able to get help from them. And they explained it. It all made sense. It was nothing bad. And then it was, well, maybe I should just kind of look online and see. Bam. Oh, wait, it's Black fucking Friday deals. I can get this thing, make payments that
Mm-hmm.
are extremely affordable, not have to pay too. I mean, oh, yeah, I'm going to pay a little bit extra for interest and shit, but it's not
Yeah.
like breaking the bank because I need this for school. It's everything I need for my schooling,
Mm-hmm.
and it's affordable. And I wouldn't have been able to get that if I would have just been impulse buy. That's the addiction. That's the fucking obsessive compulsion. And it's still something that no matter what, like I think I had that mindset too when I first went in that I can get better. You don't
Mm-hmm.
get better. You get better at it, but you
Right.
don't, there's no cure.
You're not gonna become a new person,
Well, you can
you
become, you
know.
can work towards
But
living a better life.
right, exactly.
Yeah, you're not
But
just going to
it's
go into treatment, come back out,
yeah,
I'm fixed.
yeah, exactly.
That's not how it
No.
works. It's not like I wrecked my
Mm-hmm.
car, I bought a new one, brand new car. No.
There's still consequences that come along with that.
Yeah. And that's also the thing too is like some of the things I've done in the past and some of the fucking wait. That's where like I'm really, really, really grateful because I'm going through. I mean, I haven't got to the fourth step. I've done the fourth step. I've done up to the fourth step in another program until I got into this program where it has a lot better like assistance and guiding me through it and a better sponsor. But I'm very fortunate that most of my stuff is like a living amends. Don't do those things anymore. It's not like I have things that I've been deceitful about. The problem is the lying to myself. Where like somebody said in a meeting recently, when we think in our heads like, oh, that nobody knows, they fucking know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of hard to hide when you're fucking
Mhm.
loaded,
Mhm.
you know? Like you have ticks. Like Hobo was telling me the other day, it's like, yeah, I could tell when you were because you do this thing where like you chew a lot, and it's
Well,
like,
it's like alcohol and everything too. You
yep.
can't hide that smell.
You know, like the whole thing, like when the cops do the things with
Mm.
your eyes, it's not your eyes aren't following.
Mm.
That's not what it is. Your eyes will go back and forth. Your eye will shudder when you're drunk.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean it's I don't know. There's just so much in life that I'm able to take in now. Able to appreciate that I didn't even pay attention to before. It's the
Mhm.
small things that mean the most, and I think that that's the biggest change that I think I had to make was everything. Everything had to change for things to get better. I'm extremely grateful to have you by my side through these changes. I'm extremely grateful that you were willing to come on for this episode. I love you with all my heart, and hopefully, I can convince you to come back on for another episode.
Yes.
All right. Well, I will be back. Welcome to the 2026 season or fucking batch of episodes. I don't know what you want to call it because I'm not going to not do seasons. I fucking refuse to do that.
Season.
Fuck that. All right, we'll be back with another episode of What the Clan.